if I die tomorrow. I hope you hear these words. I ain't here to flip no birds or sip no syrup. Hope the future generations can get this urge. Stay woke, youngin', and avenge these nerds.
It's Tuesday night, guys.
Tone, you look so different.
Tony number 2 is here.
I decided not to shave today.
Yo, I feel like Alex is just the stand-in for whenever one of us goes MIA. He's like, I'm Law. Don't ask questions. I'm Seabass. Don't ask questions.
Well, if I'm not the stand-in, then Sebastian is my stand-in. So it kind of
that's fair.
It's fair. It's
exchange.
There you go. The rules of alchemy. So yeah, for those wondering, yes, Tony is not here tonight. Tony is basically taking care of things on the West Coast. Kicking ass, taking names and all that. You will see Tony on here next week. We will be talking about Dune next week, so make sure to tune in for that.
We're tonight, Eternals next week. We talking.
Oh yeah, we talking. I'm sorry. Thank you. This is why there's 3 of us.
Listen, there's more to talk about if we want to get into it. But...
All right, we're gonna retcon that. I said Eternals. Okay, let's go. So yeah, we're gonna talk about Eternals next week, but we have a great episode tonight because we're doing a little bit of a live creator series. We're gonna talk to a creator on the show today about a Kickstarter that they've launched, a book that they've pretty much created, a world that helps transport readers to an awesome steampunk world. So we're gonna deep dive into that, but let's get through these announcements first. Our announcements, because we, it's always fun. Make sure you guys are subscribing to us on YouTube. Make sure you guys are subscribing to us on Anchor or everything, wherever you can subscribe to us at. Make sure you hit that follow, like, subscribe, share, send to grandma, send to grandpa, send to everybody. Watch us on your TV, on the YouTube app or something like that. Please, your support, we love it. Thank you guys. We're always awesome. And in case you missed it too, definitely check out Wayward Raven site if you're interested in signing up for an anthology. Wayward Raven, which Alex will put in the plug about signing up for an anthology. So Wayward Raven is launching an anthology and they're taking submissions. So make sure you go to waywardraven.com to go check that out. And finally, also too, the Medusa's Cascade has hit 50 episodes.
Yo,
the D&D podcast.
So
50 episodes. I played the lovable Kyver. Law plays the lovable Zex.
One of these days, you're gonna get the direction of that.
I'm gonna get it one day.
At least I can just do this.
And Alex has hosted a show for us that was talking about it.
Slowly bring him back for. Because it's a perfect time. Like, I feel like we could do like arcs and sections.
He wants you to listen more episodes.
No, I just want you. You're such a good host. Like, honestly, you're such a good host. Like,
yeah,
it was
I just need to sit. Oh yeah, lovable. Oh, I'm
coming. Argyle coming in hot.
Law, you're in charge of comments today. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm always. But let's bring on our guest because we have an awesome guest that's coming on the show tonight. Pretty much, she's created this book that's called Boston Metaphysical Society, and just looking at the history, she has got tons of funded Kickstarters for this book and a huge fan base that has followed this book in the series. And just reading up, looking at everything, she's built a magnificent world.
We got a book, and we got an audio drama.
Yes.
It's primarily an audio drama from what I'm seeing, and then we got the book and everything else tied to it, which is really dope.
Oh, yeah. So without further ado, let's bring out Madeline Holly-Rosing. Madeline, what's up? Welcome.
Hi.
Hello.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Definitely. Again, thank you for coming on. Before we get into everything and all that, guys, the Kickstarter is in the link to the description. We're going to be talking about it tonight. And again, I want to congratulate you. 9 days left to subscribe. And I want to congratulate you on your Kickstarter. I have the link right here. Again, it's an audio podcast that is coming out. And you guys have been kicking butt here. I mean, you have a great cast. I love the artwork. And again, you guys have completed your goal, which I want to congratulate you guys on.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's get into it. I mean, what led to the creation of the Boston Metaphysical Society?
Well, for those of you viewers who have never heard of Boston Metaphysical before, it's about an ex-Pinkerton detective, a spirit photographer, and a genius scientist who battles supernatural forces in the late 1800s Boston. We started with a 6-issue miniseries, which then turned into trade paperback, and we currently have 4 sequels out, and the Kickstarter is for our very first audio drama, and it takes place in the same universe at about the the time of the original 6-issue miniseries. So you still have the three main characters of Samuel, Caitlin, and Granville, who are our ex-Pinkerton, our spirit photographer, and our genius scientist. And they have to discover why this ghost ship that has sailed into Boston Harbor is not only killing anything that is boarding her, but is luring children to their death. So they have quite a task on their hands. And it's been a lot of fun producing this show. We have a very lean and mean production team. I was very fortunate in that I had met Eddie Louise, who is the script editor, at a number of conventions, steampunk conventions. She is a writer, actor herself. And she's the one who convinced me to do this. So, it's all her fault. I'll just blame her right off the top.
Someone needs the blame.
Yes. And she says, you have to, she sat us down and she said, you have to do this. And I said, other people had mentioned this to me before, but I don't know where to start. And fortunately for me, Eddie Louise and her husband, Chip Micheal, had produced an audio drama for 4 years called Sage and Savant, which is a steampunk sci-fi audio drama. So I said, well, if I'm going to do this, I have to hire you guys. And they said, okay. So I hired them. And so it's the three of us. Eddie Louise, not only a mentor and many other things, as well as officially credited as the script editor. Her husband, Chip Micheal, is the audio engineer and the composer. And they have just done a smashing job. We do have 2 sample audio clips on the homepage for people to listen to. One is a snippet from episode 1, so you get a feel. This is a full cast, special effects, music, the whole 9 yards. It's like your old time radio plays. And I think what really kind of inspired me this is like a number of years ago, right before audiobooks really hit the big market, where everyone was listening to audiobooks. I'd be coming home from Silicon Valley on Sunday night, driving 5 to 6 hours to get home. And for a short space of time, I would pick up on my AM radio, a radio play. Ooh. And I'm like, oh my God.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah. And I don't remember what radio station it was, but I'm thinking, oh my God, this is so great. I won't be so bored driving for 2 hours. And then as I got out of range, it's like, no, don't go away. Don't stop. But, there's nothing you could do. And then, of course, after that, I just got smart and bought audiobooks. But I
feel like audiobooks are a tad bit less immersive than an audio drama, though. Depending on which audiobook you get. Because I feel like for audio dramas, I can sit there and I'll be immersed and I pay attention to all the details. For audiobooks, if I don't pay enough attention to one thing, 15 minutes will pass and I don't remember any of it.
Yeah, it depends on the book. It actually depends on the budget and who's publishing the book. I've listened to what is it called? It was a Rogue One prequel in Star Wars. There's an audio book, and they had everything because they have a huge it's Lucasfilms. Yeah. They have a huge budget. So there was music and sound effects and different people voicing different characters. And everything. So if you have the budget to do that, you can. But most audiobooks are usually a single actor.
Right.
Because it's very expensive to produce an audiobook.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like I like to compare the Dresden Files. Like I think they have like James Marsden doing the entire thing and he's just by himself. But then you compare it to like World War Z, which has like a huge budget, huge roster, so like that's like night and day. So yeah.
Yeah, but you can still get, if you have not listened to Murderbot, the Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells, you're in for a treat. And that doesn't have special effects. It just has one actor. His name is Kevin R. Free. And oh my God, you'll be laughing your ass off. But 2, it's a great sci-fi story from the perspective of a humanoid construct.
So, what was the transition from going? Because again, you've had quite a great run on Kickstarter, which I want to congratulate you. You've got a lot of projects that were funded for the comic book and the series.
Yeah.
But what was the transition of going from the graphic novel now to the audiobook? How was that transition for you? And was it a similar process with writing the scripts, putting it together, or was there just something different that you had to tweak up?
It's definitely different because I mean I come from a screenwriting background, so coming from screenwriting to comic book writing is it's not a smooth transition, but it's an easier transition because they're both visual writing and they're both documents that talk to other people. Even more so with a comic script, as you know, it's literally a communication document to your artist, to your colorist, to your letterer. So everyone knows what their job is and what you want as the creator on the page. There's an equivalent with writing an audio drama script, but what I did find is I would start thinking visually, and then I had to translate that into auditory. So I did do research beforehand of how these scripts were structured because you have to put in sound effects. That part was that wasn't too difficult for me, but obviously I had Eddie Louise there to help me tweak it. And then when Chip would run into something he didn't quite, was like, I don't think we can do this. and walk me through why. And I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now. What was something that had kind of been trained out of me in screenwriting is that you never direct the actors. The director directs the actors. And in comic book writing, you can direct the characters, obviously, but you are doing it in story form for your artist to understand. And then, you have your dialogue. Here, having to learn how to direct literally on the page where you're telling the actor, okay, you need a gulp here or a cough here, or you need to be surprised here, or, though this may seem like a comedic line, in fact, it's not a comedic line, and you have to say it in a more sorrowful, I haven't said that now, unhappy voice.
Right.
So it was really interesting, and I'm really glad I've done it because I have a new skill set, which is always great.
It's like that Xbox achievement unlocked.
Yeah, check that off.
So you can add director to your resume.
There you go. Yeah.
That's dope.
Very dope.
Yeah, because it's funny because again, you see the differences, and I remember just reading about the different things. Like there was no real formula to really kind of write a comic book script, and then seeing how like I said, I really want to applaud you because I really want to talk to you about how it was with Kickstarter down the line, because you had I saw it was in 2013 you started the Kickstarter, and that one was canceled, but then you just all of a sudden this mean streak just knocked it out the park and just home runs every time, it's just clean house. So with that, what was the difference with the technique with marketing the book and everything, getting it out there, getting the story out there, that's helped you to now get the Kickstarter out there for the audiobook?
Well, yeah, absolutely. The very first Kickstarter I did the crash and burn like a lot of people do. And what we learned from that was, for someone who had no following, I really was new to, I thought I knew what I was doing, but it was clear I did not. And we ended up with by the end, over 200 backers with over $7,000 for that first one. So that provided us with really good data. It meant that we could bring in at least 200 backers and make at least $7,000.
Right.
So what I did then was break it up into smaller bits, because the first Kickstarter we were trying to do we'd already produced the first 3 issues. And what we wanted to do was pay for production and the art for the last 3, put it in a big, beautiful trade. Obviously,
What's going on, George?
that didn't work out, but by breaking it up into smaller bits, so I said, okay, 1, 2, and 3 are finished, but let's just do a Kickstarter for the print run of number 3. And if we do well enough, we'll do a print run for number 4. And so that's what we did. And we were funded in 24 hours with that one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That's amazing.
That's big.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, because we did communicate that to everyone too. I mean, I canceled. The reason I canceled is because I saw people dropping out. And for those not familiar with Kickstarter, once people cancel their pledge, you can't communicate to them through Kickstarter. And
I got it.
And this way I was still able to communicate with those backers. Obviously I didn't have their emails, but I also asked them to sign up for an email list that would notify them. So that was like the beginning of my email list of those few people there. And then from there, just built it up over the years through cons and additional Kickstarters, but always looking at previous historical data to tell us where we were successful at, and, you know, looking at the budget and determining what was the best goal. And I think the last, the Book of Demons, which we kickstarted earlier this year, I think it was for 42.5, was funded in 6 hours.
That's amazing.
I'm going to say that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But you have to understand that's 7 years of building a fan base.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is not overnight success. This is not. Yeah.
No, yeah, and I want to hear your story on that, because you know you see so many people, they go to Kickstarter, think it's going to be an overnight success, and like you said, your story. I really want to get out there of how you dealt with the Kickstarter, because looking at your history, you did 10 Kickstarters, and out of the 10, 9 of them after the first one have been, and I was just looking at the numbers just out of the park with this series. And I'm like, again, I just wanted to deeply congratulate you on that. I feel like you've unlocked what some people still can't understand, how Kickstarter works.
Yeah, as someone who's had like sleepless nights because of Kickstarter, I do applaud your success on that. Is there anything like you'd like to disillusion people who think Kickstarter is easy, anyone can do it? Like, is there one thing you would just want, like a Band-Aid you want to rip off for people?
It's a second full-time job. You know, don't kid yourself. It is a second full-time job. Because I've done it so much now, I've streamlined it. I prep months ahead of time. But it's just a little bit, like a couple things this week and a couple things the next week, because I know what's coming. I don't know if you guys know this. You know, I've actually written a book called Kickstarter for the Independent Creator.
Yeah, I saw that. Asked about it.
Yeah, it's. I haven't updated it for this year. I do try to update it every year, but this year has just been insane with producing the audio drama on top of everything else. And then the books came in for Book of Demons like right before we launched this one. So let's just turn all my hair gray at this point. But we actually we're about 98% fulfilled right now. So almost everything's out the door except for a few things. Anyway, yeah. Sorry, I'm like, last 2 weeks have just been like, oh my god, I got the 50 packages tonight. You know, yeah. And thank God for my husband. It would not be done if it wasn't for him. In previous Kickstarters, I did all the shipping and the packaging, but the last one was literally double what we'd done before. So he just looked at the numbers and said, "Nah, it's going to take you months to finish this, so let's just do it."
Wow.
Yeah, it's always good to have somebody to lean on, which is great.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I always hear Alex from up north cursing whenever they got to do a Kickstarter, like, I gotta send it. But
Oh my god, man, I'm so glad. Like I just dealt with the digital stuff.
so
Yeah.
Boston Metaphysical Society. So this is the story. So what can people expect from the story? Like we talked about the ghost ship, but what is the ultimate goal for the series? So is this going to be a first like season of the first 8 episodes that they can actually subscribe to, or they're going to see more audio for this?
The ghost ship is a standalone story, so
Okay.
it is complete.
Okay.
It's 8 episodes, about 30 minutes each, and yes, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. But it does leave it open just a little bit for additional stories. And I kind of refer to these stories as the case files of the Boston Metaphysical Society, because timing wise, they're
Okay.
kind of in between the first 6 issues, and they may kind of hint at the stuff that happens in the original 6 issues, but it doesn't address it. They're completely different standalone cases.
It's kind of like we're getting like a whole Sherlock Holmes series where it's like these are standalone cases for Sherlock Holmes. But I love the characters that you have here.
Thank
you. You have Granville T. Woods, who's played by Martin Davis in this. You have Caitlin O'Sullivan, who's played by Emily S.A. Snyder. And then Samuel Hunt, who's played by Ryan Philbrook. And just to touch up on it, they have a great resume. These actors that you're working with. I mean, Martin himself, he's been on Chicago, MD, Chicago Med. Emily has been around for a while doing a bunch of different audio dramas and has even hosted her own podcast, which we'll give a shout out to, which is called Holla to Hamlet, exploring verse drama. And then Ryan, he's definitely been around with Tales from the Tower and all that. What was it like to finally hear the voices of your characters come to life in this audio drama?
It was pretty amazing. We have a fabulous cast there. They're just outstanding. And it was just so interesting to listen to it come to life. Because, you as a creator, you hear these, and now people think this is crazy, but yes, you hear these voices in your head. But, you do. No, he's shaking his head. No, I don't use it.
No. I never had conversations with my characters as I'm drawing.
And finding, we had some great auditions. I mean, it was really, really hard to narrow it down. But particularly with Emily, she had that sparkle in her voice that I always imagined Caitlin would have, and the kind of attitude. And with Ryan Philbrook, it was very important to me that Samuel is rather jaded, but he's extremely empathetic. And I needed that empathy to come through his voice. And Ryan really nailed that. And Martin as Granville is kind of is much more staid and buttoned up kind of guy, and is often sometimes the smartest person in the room, I should say. But yet has his own issues to deal with in the society that he's living and working in. And Martin handles that with a lot of grace. So yeah, it's tremendous. And I have to give a shout out also to Ryan Hoyle, who plays a supporting character.
What's up, Doc? Yes.
Jimmy McLaren and HB Gibson, who plays Thomas Edison, who I just love it. And he had so much fun playing Thomas Edison, and he did such a wonderful job. And he gets the best lines. I hate to say this because he's
someone has to get him.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, he does. He would just go like, "I love this line," like he'd be all really happy. But
awesome.
yeah, it was an absolute joy to work with everyone. And I was to say, Chip as the director really put everyone through their paces. So I, threw a little extra money their way because Chip he's very nice about it. But one of the clips on the homepage is Emily and Ryan Hoyle singing The Bard of Armagh, which is a traditional Irish folktale. Now, I can't give away why they're doing it because that's a huge spoiler. But you'll find in the beginning of the song, it starts out very rough, and that's very intentional. And then as they come together, they harmonize, and they're just amazing. And what always surprised me is what I put out the casting call. It says, like, I just said, you have to be able to carry a tune. You don't have to be a great singer, just carry a tune. That's fine. And then if you listen to this, you see like Emily and Ryan are just like, oh my God, they are so good. They're like singing and harmonizing. It gives me chills when, I listen to them, and it's been a lot of work, but a lot of fun as well.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. No, I was gonna just ask because I'm kind of curious about this part. As someone who's done comics and now doing an audio drama, is there anything as a creator that you find is like challenging for moving from one medium to another when it comes to like characterization or just setting a tone? Do you find like there's like a challenge in there, or?
Well, the challenge is not leaning too heavy on exposition. Mm-hmm. And particularly, I tried intention. We do have a narrator, and I was very specific. I really tried hard to keep that very lean. So she would handle just important transitions. So the audience are like, okay, we got to do this. And maybe like tiny little reminders. Mm-hmm. And then we went in and then went directly into the scene. But as you go farther and farther into each episode, you hear the narrator less and less and less.
Okay.
Cool.
But yeah, it's very difficult not to be, overly expository in an audio drama. Yeah, that's the real challenge.
You were talking about earlier the directing of characters when you're doing comics versus now you're directing a cast and crew, which sound amazing and lovely. What's the wiggle room for the cast as far as like what you're wanting to portray versus like what they can bring themselves to the characters?
Well, that's why Chip would always have them do multiple takes, mm-hmm. because every once in a while, we'd both have an idea in our head of how we wanted this to sound, but then they would come up with something better. Mm. And that's great. It's like my artist, sure, I handle out a page, but if she decides to blow it up and it's better, I'm all for that. It's like, go do that. That's wonderful. Same thing with the actors, but then again, sometimes we really needed them to handle a scene a particular way because I knew what was going to go happen in the future, and they needed to be that way in order to go from like point A to point B to point C.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they may not quite understand the full arc yet of where they need to be.
Gotcha. So wait, are they not getting the full script from the?
They are, but sometimes you just forget. You get excited.
Okay. I thought it was one of those things like, do this one for now. You'll figure it out later. So there's much suspense as the audience.
No, they got the full script ahead of time, but sometimes they, and it's just communicating. Mm-hmm. Communicating what everybody wants, or they'll make a suggestion and we'll go like, oh yeah, that's cool. Let's go with that.
Okay.
So what led, because again, we know this is the Ghost Ship. We know that you have a bunch of graphic novels that lead into this wonderful universe that you created. So tell us the origin story of Madeline when you sat there and this idea just popped in your head. What was the inspiration for this story?
You mean the origin story of Boston Metaphysical Society itself,
Yeah.
or the ghost
Yeah.
ship in particular?
Boston Metaphysical Society itself.
Well, it's kind of a combination of my love of history and science fiction, and at the time I didn't know that kind of equated sometimes to steampunk, depending how you look at it. But I had originally developed this as a TV pilot when I was at MFA program at UCLA. And the original, I think it wasn't a steampunk, it was called like 1900 Detective Agency or something like that. It was set in the late 1800s.
Okay.
And a friend of mine sat me down and said, have you thought about steampunk, developing this in a steampunk world? And I'd heard of steampunk, wasn't that familiar with it. So I did the research and I thought, wow, this would be perfect. This is a perfect setting because the late 1800s were, well, probably worldwide, but particularly since it's an American story in the United States, was a huge time of social, cultural, and technological upheaval. There was tons of things changing all the time, and people were like freaking out because of all this change. Because people, as you know, sometimes don't handle change well.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
I don't know what you mean.
Wait, what?
And so I wanted to set these two characters who were in my head sort of loosely based on Mulder and Scully, but set in the late 1800s with all of the social restrictions and cultural restrictions set upon them. And then it moved into, I developed it in more of a steampunk world. So I brought in more science, more paranormal. I gave her, made her a spirit photographer. And then I did additional research and found Granville. If you don't know, Granville T. Woods is a historical figure. He was an African-American scientist who lived in the same time period of Tesla and Edison. There's nothing I found that he actually knew Tesla. He definitely knew Edison because he sued him for stealing some of his patents because, well, Edison did that to everybody.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
The difference here is that Granville actually won. And
shit. Nice.
Yes, he won. And my husband and I ran into a law student many years ago at San Diego Comic-Con who knew Granville, because not many people have ever heard of him. He's gotten lost in history, like most worthy people of color and women have done over time. And she said, yeah, her law professor always dug around in the Library of Congress and the archives and had found that brief. And it was, how did she describe it? It wasn't the precedent upon which trademark law is based today, but it was the step before that.
Oh, wow.
So it was sort of like one of the foundation bricks that enabled trademark law as we know it today to exist.
Okay. I love
and the real Granville specialized in railroad switching technology and some other stuff, and he was from Ohio, but I brought him to Boston because, well, I can do that. I'm the writer.
Yes.
But Caitlin and Samuel, they are fictional. They are fictional. But I wanted my Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. I mean,
no, and you have the perfect cast, right? I want to showcase the image so that people can see what they look like right here, and with that beautiful image that was done by Gwen Tavares, which again, she has a very beautiful style, and she captures the eeriness too, but still able to capture this beautiful, again, steampunk setting that you want to go for. And again, learning more about Granville, I'm definitely going to be looking him up more now, because that's an interesting piece right there. And I think that, again, if you're watching this, listening in right now, and on the replay, please support, because that is a really dope character to bring to the forefront. But with Gwen. How did you get on board with Gwen, and how was it that you got to recruit her to do the art and everything? Tell us about how that relationship came together.
Well, Emily Hugh was my original artist, as I mentioned before, for the 6-issue miniseries, and did a fabulous job. But like a lot of people who work with me, they often get other work and move on to bigger and better, which is what she did, and wish her well. And apparently she just got married too. So like,
congratulations.
happy for her.
Several congratulations.
So by that time, we'd been around for about 4.5 years. So people knew me, and, you know, I made friends and connections. I was doing lots of cons. So I put the word out that I was looking for a female artist to take over. And a friend of mine came to me, and he said, "Oh, what about Gwen Tavares?" I said, I don't know her. And he says, "Yeah." He goes, "Take a look at some of her stuff." So I looked her up, and while I was looking it up, I guess he had talked to her, and she contacted me. So I said, "Yeah, send me your portfolio." And then I hired her to do a character sketch of Granville and Tesla, because they were going to be the main characters for our first sequel, because I was doing one-shots, trying to focus on just specific characters. And she knocked it out of the park. It was so beautiful. So I said, "Okay, you're hired." And basically she's been with me ever since. She's been with me the last 4 years, and actually chatted with her today, talking about the next graphic novel I'm doing, and she sounds very excited about it. So I assume she's still on board.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that always captured me about besides the name, I would always kind of say like, oh, Boston Metaphysical Society is cool name, but the artwork would really capture me with the series. So, and it's amazing to find how like it's kind of an unbroken chain of what the artist does, which is really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. What was really nice is the segue worked within the story, because Emily has a strong background in anime and manga, and this was her first crossover.
Oh.
And she did beautifully. Her expressions, her characters are just amazing. But the women tended to look very young, even though I was going like, no, she's a little older. She's a little, make her a little older, please. But by the end of the first arc, the end of the first 6-issue miniseries, those characters had been through so much that they had aged. They grew. They had to. So when Gwen came on board, who was a little bit older than Emily, she's not old. I mean, it's ridiculous. Emily was like 20 something. I think Gwen is like 30 something. Gwen brought a maturity to the characters, which was a beautiful segue, because they had matured after this trauma they had all gone through. And to me, it just worked beautifully.
Okay.
So I'm very happy.
So with that, Alex mentioned, the expanding world, like, and you mentioned, future projects. Because this exists almost like a one shot within this world, is this going to expand further out than Boston, than this time period, maybe like a couple years into the future, 50 years in the future, that kind of thing?
I'm not sure.
How big does this get, and how deep down the rabbit hole are the fans are going to get?
We're gonna have a next generation.
Yeah, that'd be so cool.
There's actually a novel and an anthology that are prequels to the 6-issue miniseries. So I had decided a while ago that anything time-wise that came before the original 6-issue miniseries was going to be in prose form, and anything after was going to be in graphic novel form. And the reason for that was budgetary. It's very expensive to produce a comic.
Right.
And people really loved Samuel, Caitlin, and Granville. They loved the team. So it just seemed to make sense to keep going that way in graphic novel format. And yeah, they do expand out. The second sequel, The Spirit of Rebellion. They're in Philadelphia. It takes place in Philadelphia.
Oh, dope.
In the next two, Ghosts and Demons and the Book of Demons, we are back in Boston. I don't want to ruin it for those who have not read the Book of Demons, the last sequel yet, but yes, we are traveling again. But I'm not going to say where because I don't want to ruin it for people. But yeah, I decided like, oh, I think we're going to take a trip here. And so yeah, they will be going elsewhere. And I have added additional characters as well as time has moved on because Caitlin needed a friend and it just seemed to organically grow that these people should come in and be a part of their lives.
So let's get into, because I'm gonna have the ticker playing on the bottom. So let's get into the rewards that backers can receive. And I know you guys, again, congratulations for hitting your goal. But now we're at the fun part of Kickstarter, where it's the stretch goals, which again, this allows you to give more fun stuff for people. So what are some of the rewards that backers can expect to receive or get depending on the level that they back? And what are some of the stretch goals that you can share with us while the Kickstarter is going?
Sure. The reward tiers run the range of MP3 downloads. You can get just the first episode if you just want to, give us a good on you kind of thing.
They want to dip their toes, see what they're getting into.
Yeah, get a taste of it. Mm-hmm. You can get 4 of the episodes, or you can get an MP3 download of all 8 episodes. We have a very cool flash drive, which I looked forever for. It's this oval wood thing, and I had Alejandro Lee do a art of an American clipper ship because the Ghost ship is an American clipper ship, and so
I wanted to call out on that because how the hell did you find a wooden USB drive? That is
that took a while. So yeah, that's what that's going to be like. And then we do have it'll be a 5-disc CD set for those who like to go old school, which is great. And then if you're really new to the series, there are digital copies of the all of the graphic novels as well as physical ones. And the novel and the anthology. And that, what you're looking at right now, that's our new cover of the original graphic novel done by Roberta Ingranata, who's currently doing Doctor Who.
Wait, what? Doctor Who?
I was going to ask if you were a Whovian because I got the Whovian vibes very early on.
Roberta's currently doing the art for Doctor Who, and she also did a pinup for me in my last Kickstarter, which is one of the stretch goals, which is how I got in her loop, so to speak. So when I came back, it says, "Will you do a cover for me?" She said yes, and that was great. She did a beautiful job.
Yeah, I'm just loving loving how she captured Granville. Again, all your characters here. You have pretty much Caitlin and Samuel, and I love the fact it's a beautiful cover. And guys, again, I'm going to say it. Please support this Kickstarter because this is pretty dope. I really, really love the fact that again, we got a historical figure that's in here was one of the main characters and everything that's been lost in the annals of history because we know how the history books do it. But no, what is the audiobook, again, the audio drama, what is the future? Do you plan on eventually maybe one day like TV deals, series, animations? What are some of the things that you really want to see happen?
What's the bucket list?
Yeah, what is the bucket list?
The bucket list. I've been building this all out very slowly, as you can see, over the past 7 years. It's just been getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And going, it is, I've always envisioned this as a transmedia project that would never just be in one medium. And obviously it's not. It's in 3 different mediums now. And Yeah, no, I would love to see this as a TV show, whether animated or live action. But that, of course, I'm willing to wait for the right partner on that. I have had people talk to me, and I'm a patient person.
I feel like you have to be in comics,
that's a big commitment too. Like you gotta fill it out.
I really see. I just saw it today, which is one of the new shows on Netflix, which was from the League of Legends Arcane, and I really see, like, just looking at the style and then looking at again Gwen's style, I really see that definitely fitting for you guys with the 3D transition. And because I'm a big animation fan too. I love when I see stuff transition to it and how styles fit perfectly. And it's just looking at it, the artwork, like I see that cell shading really popping out for the characters. Again, I'm in love with the book. I'm gonna what is it? You know that meme with Fry from Futurama says, "Shut up here, take my money." Here you go. You got it. You got it already.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, and like just the other night, my husband and I, we finished off watching the first 3 episodes of Arcane. I'm like, I like this. We're gonna No, and that was beautifully rendered. Yeah, animation isn't what it used to be, 20 years ago. It's just
No, it's not.
You have
just
so
beautiful.
many different styles too. Like there is the entire rainbow and more of like choices you can make with that.
Yeah.
So we have a segment now that we call on the show, which we're going to put you on and give you the plug. It's called the plug. You're going to plug away Boston Metaphysical Society, the ghost ship. Give us the whole speech about it. Give us everything. Just lay it away, where we can find you and everything.
Okay. Boston Metaphysical Society, the Ghost Ship, is an audio drama, 8 episode, approximately 30 minutes each. That is about our 3 main characters, Samuel, Caitlin, and Granville, as they try to solve the mystery of why a ghost ship that has sailed into Boston Harbor is killing anyone who boards her and luring children to their death. It is based on the series Boston Metaphysical Society, the original 6-issue miniseries by myself with art by Emily Hugh. And we have some great rewards for you from MP3 downloads of 1 episode to 4 to all 8. Which will be delivered probably January, February of next year. It's also a full cast of special effects, original music, and be sure to check out our other reward tiers with our very cool flash drive. It sort of looks like it belongs on a ship. It's a oval wooden thing that will have an American clipper ship and the name, the ghost ship, engraved on it. And we will also have a 5-disc CD set that's available, plus both the digital and physical copies of the trade and the 4 sequels, along with the prequel novel, A Storm of Secrets, and the prequel anthology, Prelude. We have currently reached our first stretch goal, which is a digital wallpaper of the beautiful cover art that was done by Gwen Tavares. And we are working on our next stretch goal, which is 2 magnets. One features Caitlin, and the other is a mystery magnet, which will be revealed when we're halfway to our second stretch goal. And that one was designed by Alejandro Lee, and I know you guys are going to love it. So be sure to pledge as soon as possible, because I really want to show everybody this. And come on down and listen to the 2 excerpts that you can find right on the homepage over on Kickstarter.
Awesome. Again, Madeline, I want to thank you for coming on Nerds, talking about sharing to us with the Kickstarter, because again, we love hearing about new projects and everything, and it was just awesome to learn about this and getting to speak with you today and talking more about the Boston Metaphysical. I am sorry, I am tongue-tied.
Say that 3 times fast.
I still screw it up when I type it out. I mean, it is a mouthful. I almost was going to kill myself because the URL, is like BostonMetaphysicalSociety.com. It just goes on forever, but it's a perfect name for it. So what are you going to do?
I'll stand by it. I love the name. I love it.
I love it
the name. It's a tongue twister, but I love the name.
To be fair, and Law could tell you, I butcher every single name, and I try not to. It's because I'm overthinking it. Like when we did Game of Thrones coverage, and I kept trying to say the characters' names. It wasn't beautiful. It wasn't beautiful at all. I think I conjured.
Start and then midway through, just be like, I can't. And just it became a completely different name entirely.
I think I conjured spells by butchering the names and all that. It's like, why is the lights flickering now? That's why. But again, Madeline, thank you for coming on. Congratulations again on the Kickstarter. I look forward to seeing more of the Boston Metaphysical Society. I look forward to seeing just more books, more audio dramas. And again, like I said, here, take my money. That's it. The card is out. But guys, this has been another awesome episode of Nerds Around. Tony number 2 is here taking over for us right now. Tony number 2 in the bottom. This has been your boy Sebastian.
It's your boy Law. And Alex and Alex from across the bridge.
Good night, everybody.
From up north.
Later, guys.